Well, everybody's heard about the bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird.
Grown men watch this shit?
A podcast about indie wrestling.
Bird is a winner, well, a bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to let you know that we have the three Amigos back together again. Yes, myself, Chris. We've got the Mr. Punderful himself, Mr. Jaims Vanderbeek, Jeremey, and we have the always delightful Jon Craft, our roaming Mexican reporter who is not actually Mexican but often goes to Mexican shows. Welcome to the show, friends.
Glad to be back, guys.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
So
wait, what's
good.
the show
And
called?
What
Chris?
is this show? What is the show that we're all welcome to?
Grown men watch this shit, this caca, this excrement. This
We do.
Yes,
We do.
Indeed, we do.
Yep. And today
So, hey.
we have all the things to talk about. It's quite the topical episode. That's why we decided to reunite the three Amigos and really get going with it. But what do you got? What do you got, Jeremy?
Well, before we get started, everyone who listened to our show in the past have knows that sometimes Chris has to have a bathroom break, or I myself. You know, occasionally things happen where I'll start rambling about things in my closet. But today I have a special surprise. My girlfriend, Alicia, or my lady friend. Ooh, I said the girlfriend word. My lady friend, Alicia. No, I like to say lady.
Go, James.
But anyway, she got me some like WWE trading cards. They're like old school top style. They look like old school 1987 style cards. And I thought it'd be fun to open them up on air and tell you who I got. So,
Sweet. I mean,
you guys ever collect these type of cards back in the day?
Yeah. So you mean like Seth Rollins with 70s basketball shorts, right?
And mustaches. No. Actually, what I mean is they're like regular old school trading cards, like the baseball style ones, but they're wrestling.
Okay.
so are
I
they
got,
like the sweet limited edition ones that we got for Bowler Weekend at PWG?
Very similar.
Oh.
They might even be a little bit higher quality because they're a little bit thicker.
Oh, I don't
the
believe
cards.
that. These were of the top quality, my friend.
I don't mean as far as the artwork, but as far as the actual card stock itself.
Okay.
So we got
Shooting
two different runs of the card here. We got 2017 and 2018. I'm just getting them all open so I can just run through them all at once. But yeah, those bowl ones are fucking dope, dude. Those are really super cool. All right, let's see what I got.
Whoop.
So I got Rusev. So it's Rusev Day up in this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think what they're doing with Rusev right now kind of give him a little bit of push. Still comedy. What do you think about Rusev in a comedy role, guys? You like it or no?
I have not watched WWE in full for a long time because this is an indie wrestling show, my friend.
Yeah,
Well,
I
one of these
think
WWE cards
I know
anyway.
that. I think Rusev can do the comedy well. Like last time I checked a year ago, but I still miss Rusev in a tank where he was unbeaten.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Rusev
I
in
think he's
Tank is
very,
definitely the best
flexible.
Rusev.
But I wouldn't know because I haven't watched.
All right, well, I'll just go through the cards and you guys give me a yay or nay what you guys think of these guys. So we got
All right.
El Idolo Andrade Cien Almas.
Yay.
You know, El Sombra, yay?
Yeah.
He's gonna have a breakout year. I think they really messed him up for a while. He's got it made.
He had one
You
of
know,
the
I got-
best
I got-
NXT matches I've ever seen in my life against, was it the Gargano one? No,
Yeah.
Tommy End.
Johnny Gargano, actually.
Yeah, or it was Tommy End and Almas. I can't remember. But that one that everyone raved about was real good. Yeah.
Gargano and CN, yeah.
So yeah, I got a Gargano, and then I got a duplicate of fucking Rusev. So it's Rusev Day twice. I got duplicates of Carl Anderson. Oh man, this is some bullshit. What a cheap ass packs. We got Gold Dust up in this bitch.
Ooh,
What do you guys think
yay,
about Gold?
yay, definitely yay for Gold Dust. And this is quite timely. I heard that there was some scuttlebutt, if you will, about Gold Dust or Dustin Rhodes perhaps joining the All Elite land with his little brother. Maybe a last run of Dustin Rhodes. I'd be very excited for that, and I'm sure he would be a fantastic road agent for them as well.
Agreed on
championship run.
both points.
Mm.
So we got duplicates of Carl Anderson. I'm sure we both like, or all three of us like Carl, right? Right? Come on.
Yeah, it's
He's a
hard,
good guy.
hard not to like Carl.
Underutilized. Great.
I definitely enjoyed his New Japan exploits far more than his more recent run, especially his like sweet singles run where he had like those great matches with Tanahashi in the main event. But I don't know, it'd be pretty sweet if we finally saw a return to New Japan of Carl Anderson. I'd be all in for that.
You think that's where the direction's going with those guys? Because it does seem like they gave him a TV show. It's got a new season. It's basically Matthew's Botchamania, which is lame, but hey, whatever. Do you think Carl Anderson's going to take his leave of the WWE when given the opportunity?
Probably not. I imagine he's probably going to stay there and earn those big bucks. But you know, a man can dream.
Agreed. Then we got Drew Gulak. I got a Mr. Gulak.
Oh yay! All of the yay. I'm a big passionate supporter of Drew Gulak. As I mentioned on our last episode, I was such a fan of that awesome run that he had in Evolve when it was just the Rad Wrestling Company. Great stuff.
Yeah, I really like that he continued his campaigning kind of shtick.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Then I got, of course, fan favorite Nikki Bella. Let's move on. We got Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods.
Nay,
The
not a
last
big fan.
Oh, harsh.
Great personality. He's a better personality than he is a wrestler.
I
The
don't
rest
care
are
for
all
either.
legends. I find him obnoxious, thank you, sir. The rest of them are all legends, so if you talk shit, you're probably going to get stabbed. We got Dusty Rhodes, aforementioned,
all of the
father of the previous. Yes. We got one Jake the Snake Roberts.
All of the
Classic.
yay also.
Best
Also good
on the
memories
world.
from Beyond the Mat.
This one I'm probably going to get
Great.
mixed feelings about. The Ultimate Warrior.
We'll just leave that.
Mixed thoughts, but eventually, ultimately, yay from me.
As far as career, yes, I enjoy what the Ultimate Warrior was. As a guy, he's a piece of shit. Or was, I guess. We got Sergeant Slaughter.
Yay, yay. Funny you mentioned
Terry
Sergeant
Runnels.
Slaughter.
Oh, go ahead.
I was
Please,
just
carry on.
listening to a podcast that I highly recommend. Have you heard of Between the Sheets?
I have heard of it. I haven't heard it, but I've heard.
So it's a podcast with like David Bixenspan, aka David Kaleidoscope, for all of our MLW Conanisms fans from back in the day. And a couple of other dudes. This one had Mike Sempervive on, and they basically go through a week in the Wrestling Observer history of, forever ago. So this one I listened to was in December of 1984, and one of the main things in it was Sergeant Slaughter leaving the WWF, and a lot of people forget how much of a fucking big time star Sergeant Slaughter was back then, like rivaling Hulk Hogan. Like, he had that whole patriotism thing before it was really that even associated with Hulk Hogan. He basically got fucked on a lot of royalties, and then when he left, he was like huge star. Which I think a lot of people look back and only remember the Sergeant Slaughter of, late Attitude Era kind of fame, that kind of time. But dude was awesome. Also, his like matches in NWA and Crockett with Don Knodel against Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, like fucking great matches. So good.
And honestly, he was such a good as the babyface patriot, but personally, I loved when they turned him heel. I hated him so much as a kid because he
was this Gulf
it was
War?
one of those situations where it was a situation where the guy was the ultimate good guy and they made it to this. Honestly, I always felt like Hulk, kind of pressured them into changing him over. But anyway, he was this great, terrible bad guy with fucking the Sheik.
Also, I wanted to give shout outs. I discovered recently his fucking amazing boot camp matches, both the one with Pat Patterson and the one with Iron Sheik. And they are two of the most amazing, just fucking bloody brawl matches in like WWF history from back in that era, like the early 80s. You didn't see anything else like it. He is so great.
Then he even panned out to be, an actual G.I. Joe action figure. So cross platform star, the Sergeant Slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned Terry Runnels, not really a big deal there, but
Terry Runnels?
last one.
Oh yeah, Terry
Yeah.
Runnels. I was mixing up other people,
Yes.
but yep, I remember her, and I remember having many a teenage boner to Terry Runnels.
Yeah, that Gold Dust and her photo shoot where they're both half naked, painted in gold. Pretty good, pretty good. Last one actually kind of rolls into a good story we could talk about is Fit Finley. Tremendous,
All of the
awesome.
yay.
One of those guys. When you first see him, you're like, well, this guy just comes off as legit. This is not a fucking bullshit guy. He's just a badass brawler. So,
Oh yeah, the
super
Belfast
good.
brawler.
And his son, making his way into ROH in Lifeblood, this big, kind of like a ragtag menagerie of wrestlers.
Great word.
All
Great word.
stable.
10 points for a Latino right there.
Amazing reference. So we got the Lifeblood group. We got Tennille, the former Emma. We got the leader, Juice Robinson, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, Bandito, close personal friend of Jon Craft.
Indeed.
The other guys were Mark Haskins and who's escaping me? Who's the last one? Damn it! Oh yeah, the one the reference. I thought I already mentioned him. David Finley. David Finley's in this group. So it's like such a weird group. I like this stable.
I think it's really cool. Like, it's a great idea. Really timely, obviously, with the Elite crew departing and they need to build new stuff. Very much reminds me of last time, like, ROH really lost all their big time stars to TNA when Daniels and Low-Key and AJ and everybody left, and they came up with this fun new stable called Generation Next. That was it, right?
Yeah. Jack Evans,
Roderick Strong, Alex Shelley, and Austin Aries. Yeah, and I think those guys went on to do some pretty cool things in the wrestling, might I say. So I'm all for this. I think pretty much everyone in the group I'm very enthusiastic about. Maybe a little bit less so with Tennille, but hey, she may win me over. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, all the rest of it, there's so much talent, and the best part is like so much room for exciting progression. Like, they're all like super talented guys with so much upside to where I can't wait to see where all of them go, really. It's almost like the only negative potentially is maybe like if you're putting all those guys together, is that preventing the opportunity of seeing them work one another? Because I could see so many great matches between that.
They've already done so on TV. There, I guess Haskins and Bandito or two of the guys already have wrestled each other. That's why I thought it was amazing. Cool. They're bringing honor back to ROH so much so that they're just doing honorable matches. They're facing each other. Just I think that's a really interesting concept.
Right. I mean, I haven't seen the episode where it happens yet with the actual debut segment. But yeah, thoughts, John?
Tracy Williams just signed a Ring of Honor. Was that right? He signed sometime.
Yeah. He signed late last year, I think. I love Tracy Williams. He had an awesome match on the latest episode of ROH TV that everyone should check out. Tracy Williams and Zack Sabre Jr.
That was real good. Yeah, you're right.
So great. Yeah, love me some Tracy Williams. But yeah.
They showed up WrestleMania weekend. I was wrestling.
So we're losing you.
Yeah, we're losing you. John.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, Tracy Williams had a great showing at Evolve WrestleMania weekend. He got the absolute shit beat out of him, but put forth quite the effort.
Nice. I watched. I have the powerbomb.tv that is now the independentwrestling.tv, and I watched me a little. I think Beyond Wrestling's most recent show, and it had the independent wrestling title that Tracy Williams has like forever, and he had a fantastic match with, of all people, freshly squeezed. Mr. Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy. Yeah, so much fun. Just like such a hard-nosed wrestler like Tracy Williams versus a guy that a lot of people kind of just think of as a comedy guy in Orange Cassidy, but this meshed in all the right ways, and Orange Cassidy got the upset win and is now the independent wrestling champion. So
yeah, that was awesome. I heard about that. And also that GCW show we both watched recently, there was a great Tracy Williams match on that show as well.
Against Tony Deppen. That was like possibly match of the show. I thought it was going to be match of the show before we got fucking PCL and Masato Tanaka and that craziness with Chris Dickinson and Nick Gage, baby.
Yeah, Dickinson was so funny. He's like, I never do this for anybody, but this motherfucker right here. It's like, hell yeah, that's fucking awesome. But
So
yeah,
good.
dude, Tracy Williams has always been underrated. Like he's always kind of been in a group with other really good wrestlers. And
He was
maybe
almost
not
like
the
in the
biggest
shadow.
personality.
He was almost like in the
Yeah.
shadow of who we said just before in Evolve in
Gulak.
of Gulak and Evolve in their Catch Point.
Catch Point, man.
Yeah. But then ever since Gulak left, Williams has just been getting better and better. And as soon as I saw him signed to ROH, I was like, this is a guy that's really just going to break out. And all of these guys, I think it's a really cool thing, and it'll be very interesting to see how it goes into the future, especially Juice. And, you know, I don't know if you guys knew, but I used to, when I first saw Juice in New Japan, I was like, who's this NXT reject? You know, this is lame. My cousin Ben was the same way. He's like, who's this guy stinking up the card? Maybe a little bit mean for a guy that's like just gotten there. But then like he won me over something fierce, hey. Like the last couple of years, Juice has just been lighting it up. Like that New Japan show last year in Frisco, where it was Juice and Jay White. That was like one of my favorite New Japan matches of the year. Like really. So I love me some Juice at the moment. The flamboyant Juice Robinson.
And his promo game is fucking top notch, like so realistic and like straight fired like wrestling promos. And it's kind of crazy that it's almost lost on the New Japan audience because they don't realize like how fucking great it is. But man, Juice
you know
Robinson,
what?
he's
You know
really
what
became
those
so versatile.
promos remind me of? It's like the only thing that gives me the same vibe of watching like mid '80s Crockett, where it's like, you know, Tony Schiavone just put the mic up to the dude's after he's had his match, and then just gonna, you know, it's not scripted. It's just whatever's going off the top of his mind, and he's just a fiery young baby face. Like he's exactly like that in all the right ways. I love it. Such a good throwback.
Agreed.
All right. Anything else on this faction, or are we moving on to our next point?
Yeah, we go to Lifeblood. Pretty much, pretty exciting. Honestly, like I said, a weird group of people to all have in one group, but hey, that's kind of what makes wrestling interesting. See where it's going.
Eclectic.
Yes,
Yeah. All right. So next point I wanted to bring up, potentially a item of controversy here. Yes. So I noticed on the Twitter the last couple of days a bit of a talk or a issue being brought up of wrestlers being bullied by the people of Twitter, specifically the wrestlers who really fuck up their opponents because maybe they're not very good wrestlers. I don't know. So maybe bringing up examples like Nia Jax or Brie Bella, and them just being skewered on Twitter, and then it causing them to fall into a terrible depression. I don't know, but to me, wrestlers should be above, you know, mean words from fans on internet places. Like it seems like something that they shouldn't be concerned about. I don't know. What are you guys' take?
we have rambled on. John, we'll let you have the first go. What's your feelings?
You know, I mean, you got to think about it like this. Like, for example, Nia Jax. You got to build new stars. Sometimes they push them into the spotlight too quickly. Sometimes they fuck shit up. And in this day and age, like, people are going to rip you alive. But I think that's more on, like, the crowd. I mean, let's be real. Like, think of the people that are sitting on their keyboards typing this shit. Like, what the hell do they know? Like,
Here's my hot take. The hot take.
Oh, I like it.
Honestly, I think it's fucked up that people bully these motherfuckers. I think that anybody who reads all that shit, especially from the volume that they received, is definitely going to be susceptible no matter how strong you are. But here's the thing. Don't read your fucking mentions. Who cares? You'll avoid the compliments, sure, but avoid all the... There's nothing can come... It's just flagellation as a celebrity, just reading your mentions like, oh, it's just somebody telling me how awesome I am or telling me how terrible I am. So
It's like
either
the
way,
equivalent
it's
on Twitter of someone Googling themselves, you know? So you're not going to find some good stuff in there.
So I don't see why they do it, especially if they realize they're having troubles with it. Just there's plenty of celebrities people just don't read their mentions. They just will go by DM or, people who when you have an account that is verified, there's a separate even column for just verified accounts, so you don't have to worry about all these fucking commenters talking bullshit to you. The underlings can go away at that point. But yeah, I personally, being someone who deals with depression, if somebody was berating me every fucking day of my life, it would get to me. But just don't look. There's that option.
Just don't look.
Yeah, it's kind of
don't
like
look.
when Chris's girlfriend Courtney rips on our podcast on the Facebook comments. And she minute by minute. Like, I'm at minute 15. You guys are boring as fuck. I'm at minute 30. You're talking about a match I didn't like. At some point it's gonna wear you down, right?
Yeah, that emotional bullying.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. Hey, Courtney, what's up?
Hey.
That's fun.
But
that's
yeah,
fun.
man.
Don't kill me, please. Love you.
Oh, speaking of Twitter, by the way, do you see Finn Balor ripping my shit off, dudes?
Yeah, wow. So you came up with a sweet Vince McMahon Finn Balor hybrid, and as awesome as it was, Mr. Finn actually made it his cover photo on the Instagram, but no credit. What?
Yep. It happens. Whatever. I'm over it now.
and the Finn shares quite a bit of fan art I've seen on his Instagram as well. So it's not like he would be outside the realm of knowing that artists rely on this credit. If he gives you a shout out, that's like a whole bunch of exposure for hard work that you've done. Sweet new followers that you could get. You're not going to get them if he doesn't tag you. Come on, Finn. What you doing?
Likes he got. What a jerk. He lost a fan, I'll tell you that much.
That being said, like photographers that when they're not tagged sometimes in their photography or their watermark is cropped out, and then they do a whole song and dance about it, I can sometimes get on the side of, oh, come on, dude. This shit happens, but I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I just was hamming it up because it's fun. And I wouldn't think he'd be malicious because the way that the service works on Instagram is it makes your picture a circle. So
it does.
I always
it's a bit of an auto crop.
Yeah, I put my watermark down there in the corner because I'm more like signing it. I'm not actually trying to make it so people can't steal my shit.
You know what you should do? You should really get one of those tasteful watermarks that just goes over the entire center of the image. I love those.
Fuck that. Yeah, disrupt the whole thing that people are trying to look at. That's so fun. The worst is when people crop over my watermark and then also add the joke on top of the image. The one I did was ravishing Rick Moranis. They just would actually just put the picture of, put ravishing Rick Moranis on it. People can't figure it out by just looking at the motherfucker.
Fuck.
Anyway.
Yeah, I did just want to lastly touch up on that last point. I did have a quote. I got a quote here.
Yeah.
It wasn't the thing in and of itself of, I don't like bullying. Bullying's no good. I don't want to ever defend bullying. However, to me, if you have the degenerates of the internet wrestling fandom world that are saying the things that these degenerates say, why are you going to get fucking offended by that? But this quote is kind of what more bothered me. So this was Brie Bella. Now Brie fucked up Liv Morgan by kicking her really hard in the face when she came back from an injury, I believe, and was a bit overzealous in the ring. Then everyone sort of got onto her because, she kicked her really hard in the face. That being said, I got this quote today in the Observer from what Brie said in response to this, in response to the bullying that she's received post this, and she said, here we go. Everyone's going because she's talking about how on the Total Bellas, they're going to see the real side of it, the real caring person that she is, and blah blah blah. Everyone's going to see backstage even how Liv and I were with each other out in the WWE ring. We have to play so much bad guy, good guy. don't talk to your competitors, but backstage you'll see that we're all really close and it affects us. We never want to go out there and hurt each other, so when it happens, it's emotional. But people are going to hear my side of the story and my voice and how it's about damn time that trolls stopped going on the internet and bullying everyone. Excuse me, but fucking... You know, a guy like a Jim Cornette often gets buried in today's wrestling climate, but there are occasions when his side of things, to me, it's like, isn't this fucking wrestling? You know, what would Harley Race think of this? What would a Dick Murdoch think of this? What would Dusty Rhodes do back in the day if some fan gave him shit because he accidentally potatoed the dude he's working, you know?
Or imagine fucking Sammy Callahan, he's like, hey guys, sorry, I fucking hit Eddie Edwards in the face with that bat,
Exactly.
It was pretty fucked up.
Exactly. Like, Sammy Callahan is exactly how you should react to this, fucking own it and, like, work that. This bullshit of, guys, it's fake. Backstage, we're best friends. Fuck you.
That's the bad side about them having the show. The fucking backstage kayfabe breaking bullshit. Actually, kayfabe breaking bullshit.
Yeah.
They even gimmick the fucking non-gimmick shit.
Because we all know that reality television is in no way scripted, right? 100% shoot.
Yeah. Oh, so dumb. Yeah, and also, you know what happens when you tell people to stop bullying you because it's mean? They always stop bullying you. They hear that and they're like, she sounds like she's upset. I should probably knock that off.
You know what?
That's
She's
their
got a
reaction.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I bet the trolling comes in 20-fold when you tell people to knock it off. It's the classic heel bit when they come out to the fucking ring. They're like, if you guys don't shut up, I'm going to leave. And so people start yelling as loud as fuck. So the guy will leave. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just sort of stuck in my craw a little bit, so I wanted to make sure we addressed it. But let's get on to talk about some actual indie wrestling. I believe that's what this podcast is all about.
Sure. Do you want to go with me or John first?
Well, I think we'll go with beep 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 beep. Whoa! Shit! We have a intermission going. Intermission? Interruption in the transmission? Something like that. Anyway, it's David Arquette Watch 2019.
Yeah! All right!
Now, this last week, we had David go up to wrestle for Eric Cannon's promotion, which is doing fucking great. Eric Cannon's has been like an awesome dude. When I actually met him in person, great guy. I may have shared a couple of PBRs with him. But yeah, first wrestling up in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area, all AWA territory. And they had their WrestlePalooza show. Bit of a throwback to ECW right there, which I thought was quite fun. For which they brought out Great Sasuke as well as David Arquette. What a fabulous combination right there. Now, I was...
Guys,
go on, please.
You know how we've always mentioned Denver's Lucha Libre and Laughs, and I'm friends with the guy Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about having him on.
Indeed.
The night before, we actually had my birthday party at Lucha Libre and Laughs. Had all my friends out, got a reserve section. Long story short, it was great. Nick asked every single worker to tumble into my section. They normally only do that for the main event. Work their way into the crowd. And for my birthday present, he instructed every match to demolish one of the chairs in my section. Well, the next morning at 7 a.m., he and Darren Corbin and a few other people that were actually on that card flew out for it. And my buddy Nick got to ref one of the matches. And during it, he injured his shoulder by throwing himself to the mat too hard. It re-injured his shoulder and had to give up reffing the main event with Great Sasuke.
Oh, my gosh.
And he took a couple points, a couple quick anecdotes about that.
Ooh.
David Arquette had popped his head. Basically, he was standing behind the curtain watching the match because he is a fan. Mm-hmm. And a nice girl asked him if he wouldn't mind taking a picture with her. And so he popped out and took a picture, because he's a wrestling guy, right? Like he's loving it. And as soon as that happened, he got swarmed. And Nick basically had to send another wrestler over there to be like, hey, David, get backstage. Like, it's okay. We need you back there real quick. Can you come back? David was apparently very, very gracious, but had not quite been used to handling something like being a wrestling superstar on the ground floor right outside a curtain.
Fucking
Yeah.
disrupting
And
the
then-
show.
Yeah, taken away from the main event.
So
Shit.
during the main event, and then Nick was asked to walk. I don't remember the other wrestler, but Sasuke and another wrestler back to their hotel, and it was 3 a.m. walking through downtown. Was it Minneapolis?
Beautiful,
And
beautiful
all
town.
3 of them were wasted. All 3 of them were absolutely wasted. And Sasuke kept his mask on the entire walk through downtown at 3 in the
Oh.
morning.
Yeah.
Bravo. That's amazing.
So just wanted to throw that in there. Just a little anecdote. I hope you guys get to meet Nick sometime. But
Yeah.
got some good stories there. I'll actually send you a couple of pictures from it where he's roughing it. Really, really good shit from what I could see.
That's awesome.
I was very jealous I couldn't.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, this card, like, it was a 2-night affair. Had some awesome shit in it. I need to watch this. I believe the first wrestling stuff is on the old High Spots Wrestling Network. So I might have to follow it up there. But we got, on the night 1, we got Colt Cabana and Kikutaro resuming that amazing series of comedy matches. We had, what else here? Shane Strickland against Sasuke. I need to see that. I need that in my life. LAX against the Rascals. Dang. And then on night 2, that's where we get into the David Arquette-ness. We get David Arquette against Colt Cabana. I saw some little excerpts of this match. I saw a sweet Rana. Everything looked great. So
great.
sounds like it was an excellent affair. And I look forward to watching this. And I'm glad we got a little anecdote from you there, John. Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah, none of us have watched it yet, but I've heard it's a really, really good time, man. I actually wanted to go, but by the point that Nick said he was going, because he got a comp ticket, apparently, that asshole. Night 1 was already sold out. They had just announced night 2, and I knew what I was trying to do in January, which we'll talk about on the show, and
Yes.
just couldn't swing it.
Of course. Also,
I
Darby
couldn't
Allin
handle
and Sasuke. Holy shit.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. How's the
Well,
drive?
speaking of,
How's the drive from Denver to Minneapolis?
I don't know. I don't think anybody drives from Denver to Minneapolis.
In my Australian
That's
brain,
insane.
it's like you're both 2 icy places in the North Midwest of America, so it's just like a hop, skip, and a jump from one to the other.
No, sir.
I'd imagine it's a good couple days worth of safe driving.
Fuck. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, to
Denver's actually in the
continue,
middle of nowhere. I mean, we like Salt Lake City is the closest city, and it's 6 hours away.
Damn. All right. Geography with Dumb Men.
I was about to say,
Dumb Men watch this shit?
geography chess.
Grown men watch
Cartographers.
this shit. Yeah.
Well,
All
I
right.
wanted to continue the David Arquette watch as well.
Please.
If you maybe saw one David Arquette's Instagram recently, you might have recognized a face in his pictures. Oh yeah, it was me. Jeremy Tate.
Ooh, say what?
Oh, David Arquette Instagrammed a photo of me, yours truly, with 2 of my favorite professional wrestlers. This photo was taken after one DEFY Wrestling 2nd anniversary show up here in Seattle, Washington. We had a little bit surprise appearance of, straight from Rancho Cucamonga, California, the Young Bucks made a surprise appearance up in Seattle at DEFY, dude. It was insane.
I even got a low-key messenger call that morning
Yeah.
of the show.
I went to do Ring Crew, and everyone on Ring Crew was talking about how Matt and Nick both, one had tweeted out a picture of Starbucks, and another one tweeted out a picture or a GIF from Sleepless in Seattle. So I was like, oh, I think they're teasing us, so they're going to show up. And then later in the day, Matt Jackson, sent out a picture of some Disney cartoon where it says, "You will not defy me," which pretty much, I don't normally get giddy, and I've seen these guys wrestle a bunch of times, but it's like,
And they never
your
made it
favorite
up there
wrestlers go into
before,
their
right?
hometown.
Like, since
Exactly.
they've blown
In
up,
your
they've
hometown.
never been in the Pacific
in
Northwest.
my hometown. So yeah, dude, I was so fucking excited. I sent Nick and Matt a message, and I'm like, "Hey guys, if you're showing up here, the pop's gonna get huge, and I gotta get a picture." Neither of them responded, but they did look at the message, so it kind of got a clue that maybe they were going to be here. And it came at the end of they had a locals match, like featuring about 10 guys who are either from Canada or from the local area immediate, like in Seattle proper or up in Everett. A bunch of guys in the match together. And at the end, when the victor was being congratulated or celebrated by Joey Ryan, the host, they started beating his ass, and then the Young Bucks music came on. The fucking, as soon as Super Kick Party hit, the fucking place blew up. Like, it was one of the hugest pops I've ever heard. I know it's a small building, so it sounds even better, but dude, incredible.
That kind of spontaneity is like so cool. And I mean, we had the same thing was it the night prior for the bar wrestling? They made their appearance, and if this is just a continued thing as they lead into the build up of that Vegas AEW show, Double or Nothing. I think that'd be fantastic. Just who knows what indie show the Bucks are going to randomly turn up to next? You know, is AEW going to be a thing? Could they be on a next show for freelance wrestling? I mean, who knows what? Who knows they're going to be? It's
who
cool.
knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, man.
So
and the
was
line
so cool.
was insane. We had they had a line in an intermission, a line after the show, everyone trying to get pictures of the motherfuckers. I'm like, dude, thank you guys for coming to our city. And honestly, I think the Young Bucks and a lot of those guys at PWG being such big stars and making independent wrestling so strong had a lot to do with why DEFY was able to fucking sink its teeth into the market so easily. And so they have something to do with the success of all independent wrestling. So I congratulate them for all their career and thank them for coming to see us.
Nice. I really hope that as AEW continues on and we get future shows, I feel like a Pacific Northwest region show would do very well. Because you guys, you got DEFY and obviously 3-2-1 battle, but in terms of just a big time star-studded event like that, I think people would come out in droves for it.
Yeah, I think it's in the cards because they do have a select number of venues actually friended by AEW, and one of them being Key Arena, which the WWE runs when they're up here. So it'd be pretty fitting, I think.
Nice. And I saw Strickland was on that card, right? Is this probably one of the last appearances that you guys may get of the former ace of DEFY Wrestling? Or you think he's going to be back for a little while?
I think he'll still probably do a couple more shows because he has the next show in Portland. He actually is working for one of the other local companies up here, Without a Cause, the one I'm working with. Coming next month. Yeah, which is really interesting. But yeah, this match or this show, he was in a big 6-man against SCU and 3 of the big stars of our company. Strickland, of course, aforementioned, and then Randy Myers and Josh Schaff. These guys are like the big guys in our organization, and I knew the show was going to be big when they had all those motherfuckers in one match. I did not know it was going to be Young Bucks surprise big.
Dang. I mean, while we're on the topic of Shane Strickland, I think it was talked about in a little bit recently. Everyone's kind of expecting him to go up north to that New York territory. But, I mean, with all these things that are happening of late, could you see us getting a bit of a swerve? See what I did there, everyone? From Shane Strickland and going to All Elite. I mean, could that be a thing?
Honestly, I don't think that's going to be the case. Him and Carlina, who's a friend of mine as well, both are living down in Florida. I think they like it down there. And man, every wrestler
Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, nice.
I've heard Shane's going to WWE. I mean, that's what my fans are saying.
And honestly, I think the WWE hasn't had a big, a really, huge black superstar. I think Shane Strickland could be the WWE's
Saying Bobby Lashley didn't work out.
They just got Keith Lee.
Yeah, but I don't think Keith Lee's going to be. I think Shane Strickland's that crossover superstar that could go to all the TV shows. He can be,
I
and
think
he's super
Keith would kill
young.
it on that. Like Keith has such a nice, welcoming demeanor that he would like if he's on Conan O'Brien, like that'd just be magic.
I can't argue that.
He's a delightful gentleman.
Fair, but I just
Yeah.
think Shane. I think
Yes,
Shane's
man.
gonna be. He's lights out. The guy's fucking amazing.
I think we all agree that he's fantastic. I guess my only concern, I'm a little bit worried with all of the I guess talent corralling that they're doing over there. That a lot of talented guys aren't necessarily going to be able to fully show how great they are when it's so crowded. Kind of a guy like Donovan Dijak, or even like a Keith Lee, a million more examples. It's like I'm just concerned that a dude that's as great as Shane Strickland isn't going to be able to be put in the top mix that he deserves to be there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
Well,
All
if
right.
he's not, he'll make more.
Fuck around.
That seems to be the trend.
Yeah,
Fair.
it'll be interesting to see what happens, but it is always
got a
good to have
long
different viewpoints.
I
Sorry, John?
said he's got a long career ahead of him. I think he'll
Yes.
be all right. If it does,
he's
if
super
he's
young.
not happy with his booking, I mean, it's not like he's Roderick Strong. Like he's got so many years left. He's so young. You know what I mean? Like he can leave and still have a good 10 years doing whatever he wants to do.
What was that little jab at Roderick Strong there?
Yeah, what's going on there? Gosh, old man Roddy Strong.
But you know what I mean? I mean, like some of these guys are joining the crew a little bit late, and they have plenty of good years if they get utilized right. But if they're not getting
Rod's
utilized
locked the
right, they might not want to just go somewhere else for a year or two, right? And Shane Strickland, I think, has a very long career. He's very young.
Oh,
He's very charismatic. He's definitely very athletic. He's only going to get better, and either he's beginning to enter his prime or he hadn't hit it yet. So
Yeah,
fair. All accurate.
definitely. Well, wherever he ends up, it'll be interesting to keep track, and we definitely will be. So we'll be keeping our eyes peeled on that one. There are a lot of sort of free agents in the market at the moment, in probably the most lucrative time that we've had in wrestling for like an actual wrestlers having the best side of negotiations. It's probably been the best time for workers since WCW went down. And we're hearing some crazy good deals and big time money that guys are getting by signing with All Elite. ROH is putting out some big time offers. I think in the past people often said about ROH, oh yeah, they're good solid product, but Sinclair isn't willing to put in the money required for them to really be a top time player. But we've seen ROH specifically actually beat out both All Elite and WWE for certain guys. One of which being John's good friend, Bandito. And probably one of the best free agents going in wrestling. I mean, from what we've seen of him in PWG and elsewhere, dude is insanely talented. And again, like WWE is all about that Hispanic market. Or they purport to be, I guess. But ROH got that one. They offered better money for the dates and a better overall deal than WWE and All Elite did. And they've got a couple of other guys as well that they've done the same for. So both All Elite, ROH, and WWE have each had wins in this new sort of free agent market, if you will. How do we think this is going forward? I mean, do we have? I guess Trevor Lee was the most recent one. He's going up north. I've heard DJZ is a free agent at the moment. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Who else we got?
Well, there was actually an interesting group of people that showed up to the Performance Center recently. A friend and former guest of the show, Jonah Rock, was a name mentioned on that list. So they are taking a look into, because honestly, he is a surefire guy for any company. Jonah's fucking awesome. But yeah, there's some. That he's a good guy. And then also, did you hear the rumor? I'm not sure if this is true, but I think Meltzer mentioned something about WWE offering if you have a contract or an offer on paper from one of the other two companies, the WWE's going to try to double it or something like that.
I have
Which-
heard from
Double
I have
guaranteed to be.
yeah, I've heard myself, but the deal is you have to take it then and there on the spot. Can't go back and ask what the other guys are going to offer to counter that. If you want the WWE one, they're trying to capitalize, and you're being like, yep, all right, done. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I hear the Khans have a fair bit of money, so it'd be interesting to
That's
see
true.
how their counter offers look if people do go back for counter offers. I've heard some very interesting things about 3-year structured deals with them. And some other incentives that they have going on that sound pretty tantalizing for workers out there, to where I'd be like, if you're on that market and you hear the stories from WWE and you see all of the guys there, I could definitely see people going, taking up this offer with All Elite.
It actually inspired some pretty amazing, one particularly amazing tweet by Dan Barry asking for any company to send an offer. So it doesn't even have to be legit, just so he can go to the WWE with it to get the contract.
I saw.
So I just.
That's awesome. I love Dan Barry. I was going to say on the All Elite Twitter itself, they posted one recently where there's like this guy, I can't remember his name. Let's say his name is Michael, and they're like, basically, here's Michael's offer. Don't be like Michael. And he basically sent them a DM asking them if they would like his services as their GM. He has a flat rate fee of $200 per night. He just requires accommodation to the shows. There are a whole bunch of spelling errors in this message as well. I was quite tickled by this.
Way to shoot your shot, dude.
Pretty sure it was just a fan as well, by the way. So great.
That's fantastic. Speaking of that, actually, did you see fucking Nick Jackson's Instagram? Somebody sent him a DM and asked him if Kenny was going to be in the Royal Rumble. And
Yes.
So Nick said, yeah, man, Kenny said to me, just in case you randomly asked me if he was going to be in the Rumble, then yeah, he is. He's breaking his contract to appear in the show. It's awesome. It's the best reaction. Imagine being that fan.
That I would break the news that he will violate his contract and show up at a company he's able to show up at.
Yeah.
So good.
And if someone's going to make the effort to actually send a DM to ask, who are they to not give them the juicy goss?
just imagine if this guy man, I'm gonna take this chance. I'm gonna get the news. Nick's like, just kayfabe, bro. Kayfabe.
So a message out there to all of our listeners. If ever you're wondering about a certain wrestler's coming or going or juicy hot gossip details, just send them a message. You never know what you're going to get back.
They might just be honest.
All right. So now that I love that story of the DEFY weekend and what's going on with the Bucks and everything. Anything else to add to that, Jeremy?
Outside of that, pretty awesome match with Desmond Xavier, with our champ Artie continuing to hold on to that belt. And then something interesting that kind of came out afterward or a little before was DEFY is partnering with PCW Ultra and some other wrestling companies to put on what's being dubbed Wrestle Summit in LA in March. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more, but the previously mentioned Shane Strickland, Artemis Spencer, Randy Myers, all going to be on that show along with Daga, Adam Brooks, and Jan Morris.
I was going to say,
Mr.
Brooksy, we've got a couple of people that are going to be representing Melbourne City Wrestling for that one. So I think, as always, Brooksy is going to be killing it. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who else is announced for this super show.
Yeah. Keeping our eye on that one. But yeah, that's pretty much it with DEFY.
Nice. All right, well, let's move slightly down the West Coast to the Los Angeles area, where Jon was this past weekend. What's going on, Jon? What were you doing in Los Angeles?
I was watching wrestling. I specifically
Really?
imagine that I was the show.
Fucking A, man. Glad we had you on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It was really good timing. No, you guys know how fond I am of the LA to Tijuana circuit. Whenever there's a
Yes,
Friday
sir.
and a Saturday, I'm a really big fan of both of those promotions. And when they line up together, I'm fucking there, man. Like I will fly. I will pay the money. I will fly. And I had a really, really good time. You know, I flew in Friday to Los Angeles, went to PWG, had a good time. First time I ever went for front row.
Ooh.
Yeah, I decided to go for front row because PCW Ultra was running a show the same night, and also Bar Wrestling had ran the Wednesday a couple days before. And with the larger venue, I figured that was a good chance that if I couldn't get front row, I could still get GA. So went ahead, scooped up a couple of tickets to the front row there. It did work out. Props to my friend David, humble Prince of Reseda, for able to arrange me some great seats for the evening. Right off the middle, with my back to the camera, right next to the aisle where they walked out. Got some great shots. And of course, we all know PWG. I mean, it was just a really good time. And the crash itself, in my opinion, was even better.
Yeah, shocking. Well, I guess from what I've heard, it's not all that shocking. But I mean, what's going on there? I mean, this sounded like it was going to be an amazing PWG card when I first read it. You know, it looked like it had a lot of potential, and it almost looked like when I looked at that Crash card, had some potential, but there was just some stuff to where I was like, this could be a really great match, and then it's got Hornswoggle in it. What the fuck's going on?
Well, yeah, the Hornswoggle Crash, I have no fucking idea. First off, I met the guy, nice guy. But I think there were a couple
Dylan?
factors. One, Flip was on. Yes, Dylan. That's how he introduced himself. I was honored.
Nice.
Yeah. So
asshole, I'm Swoggle.
yeah. So Flip Gordon was on both shows, and we know he got hurt, and he's going to be out for. They said he'll be back by the
Back in
Madison Square
time for
Garden.
MSG, which I'm very happy about.
So it was going to be Flip Gordon versus Bandito, which would have been awesome. Now ACH filled in, and we know PWG is no slouch, so that was good. But also with the Crash is not really known to bring in another headliner on short notice.
Yeah,
they're kind of a clusterfuck, and it's a beautiful clusterfuck. But they did not go in and fill that out. Additionally, Flamita got pulled off both shows as well. So when you pull off,
what happened there?
Gordon and I don't know. They normally PWG would say due to an injury, but they said he just had to reschedule. And I was curious, maybe just something happened, but he also didn't make the Crash show. So I actually don't have any information from my sources right now. I don't know at all, but hopefully the guy's doing all right, and he's plenty good wrestler.
He was recently announced for a show that I'm going to in Melbourne. Funnily enough.
Yeah, well,
Let's
let
hope
me
he
know if
makes
he's
the show.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, PWG was good, man. In all truth, that was my 8th PWG show live, and everything that made it exceptional to me were interpersonal experiences, sitting front row experiences, interactions, things like that. The matches were fine. I really want to give a shout out to Jungle Boy. He absolutely crushed it. It was the opening match.
I love
And
Jungle Boy.
that might have been my favorite match outside of the main event. One thing that I do want to bring up about it is during Trevor Lee's post-match farewell speech, he said that
this was great.
Yeah, he said, while I did not ever win Bola or win the PWG championship, I am going to the WWE, and it wouldn't be possible without the PWG fans. Plus, WWE is going to fire me in a year anyway, so I'll come back and win it then. Nice. It's so funny because on one end, fuck Trevor Lee. On the other end, we love Trevor Lee so much.
Yeah. I heard it was a fun dynamic on the show because, as we know, Trevor Lee's like the most hated man in PWG. However, everyone's got a soft spot for him and they love him when it comes down to it. And it's like in his goodbye match, how are people going to boo that man? So what
Yeah.
what was the reception like? Were there sort of people like on a level booing him but not really meaning it, or was it just like non-stop love for the guy?
Actually, this is
like-
kind of awesome. I was actually
I
at Trevor Lee's first
was-
match
I
in
don't-
PWG, and John's at his last. We kind of bookend his career in PWG.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, you know the dynamic. Like, we love Trevor Lee, but we're also going to flip him off and boo him as loud as we possibly can. And the boos had never been louder. Like, I mean, they were booing the absolute shit out of the guy. And that's out of love. We love the guy. We love him. We wish him well. When he announced he was going to WWE in front of everybody, I mean, people gave him a standing ovation. People were hugging him. He was crying. Sorry, Trevor, to put that on blast, but he was. And it was great. But at the same point, it was that Trevor dynamic that only he can bring out, where you're gonna boo the absolute piss out of the guy, but you're so happy for him.
I find it interesting that the last match was the rematch of the bowler match that we were all there for. That was like real fast, right?
Exactly.
It was like 30 seconds or something.
Yep. Yeah. I think it was 26 officially.
So I hope they went a little bit longer on this show.
Oh, it's great. I was calling some fantasy booking, and it did not quite happen. But my fantasy booking, which earned the support from the guys at the bar next door while we were preparing, was that there would be a dusty finish. Trevor would win, get the pop, everybody go nuts, and then fuck Justin, the referee. Somebody else would run out, restart the match, and then Jeff Cobb would go over.
Has to be Rick Knox that comes out and overrules
Rick
Justin.
was gone. Rick was out of town there. Yeah. One more blow to the PWG card, which wasn't bad, but the people
should
that
be fucking Super Dragon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it almost, man, there were just a lot of really, 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 really close falls. Like, there was a lot of low blows, a lot of knocking the refs out, ref spots. I really thought that Trevor was gonna get it and then it get restarted, and it didn't quite happen. But dang, it got close, man, and everybody was going nuts. Like, the main event was great because it was so emotional.
Yeah, I feel like if Trevor had have actually won the title, like, everyone would have fucking lost their biscuits and it would have been great. And even if he just leaves the title in the ring and that's his swan song, I think that even would have been great. But, I'm not going to fault it.
But hey, even if Trevor never got it, it is true to form that Trevor's not going to win the big match PWG. And even if he should have had that moment, somehow him not having that moment was I don't want to say quite as satisfying. Obviously, we'd love to see it, but it's just true to form, I guess.
Poetic.
Yeah. Yeah, poetic. Yeah, it was a dark comedy.
Nice. I mean, I was there were a couple other matches on here that I was like, ooh, that's going to be good. DJZ and Puma King. I feel like that would have been a really fun affair. Did that
in
happen?
my opinion,
Yeah.
I have loved Puma King up to this point. He didn't seem like he was all in this time.
Oh.
I was very impressed. High take, right?
Dang.
No disrespect, really enjoyed him, but also the crowd. I don't know if it was the crowd or the chicken or the egg, but I saw Puma King at both, and it was electric.
Mm-hmm.
And something, I mean, all three of us were there at Bola, right? Something was just.
He was a big hit of the weekend.
Oh yeah, everybody loved him at Bola. Something was just kind of missing, and a lot of my friends kind of agreed as well.
Weird.
DJ Ski did great. Real quick little take here. During Jungle Boy, his dad was actually up in the rafters waving a Jungle Boy T-shirt around.
Luke Perry. Woo!
Yeah, Luke Perry. So, I mean, and that was a very popular thing. People were looking up and giving him the thumbs up whenever his son did something cool. And he got slaughtered by Brody King. I mean, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong; it was an incredible match.
I mean, that's the perfect dynamic that I would expect out of that match. I feel like there's no one that's a better vulnerable seller in wrestling than Jungle Boy. He's got almost like a Ricky and Robert type of a thing there, like Rock and Roll Express. Just I don't know. He's a pretty man.
Built
also,
like a Von Erich.
Yeah, that's true.
He's lanky and athletic like a Von Erich.
Guys, the PWG was fine. But
Oh, one
you
more
know,
one
with
more question for a match that I was real excited about. Gresham and Robbie Eagles. That sounds like it should have been a spectacular technical affair.
Was that Gresham's debut?
Yeah, it was Gresham's debut. I really was I was expecting a little bit more from Gresham, and I was expecting a little bit less from Robbie. But the match was great, and they gave them plenty of time. I'm not as big of a Robbie Eagles guy. Sorry, Chris.
Oh,
I
oh.
just haven't seen matches or whatever. Like, I mean, he's been fine. He's been great. But I think whenever
Just
I've
so you
seen
know,
him,
if you don't like any American wrestlers, I take offense.
Rightfully so.
Well, luckily,
America.
I'm very xenophobic, American guys. But no, man, I think it's just because with Robbie Eagles matches, he's always been on a card with such big names that I'm not saying it was like a piss break, but I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what to look for.
Well, what
And he was
about
fine. He was very
how about
impressed.
this one?
And
Bowler Weekend that we were there
Smart.
for, night 3 of Bowler Weekend. I thought Robbie and Shingo was one of the best matches of Bowler, full stop. I loved that match. Were you not crazy impressed by that match?
I was very impressed, but Chris, I'm not gonna lie, you know both of those wrestlers a lot more than me, and I was sitting there learning more about the guys versus comparing it to what I knew about their styles of match. You know, I was just kind of taking it in.
I see.
I thought it was a really good match, but you've always been a big Shingo guy from your time with AJ and AJPW, and obviously being an Aussie, you know, Robbie Eagles, you know a little bit more about him than me. And really, I've just been kind of taking him in, you know. And when you go to see a PWG match where you know 10 names on the card, and there's a guy you don't know, you definitely watch and you're impressed. I was impressed, but I guess what I'm saying, and this is no slight to Robbie, like I was expecting less from him during the match, and I was very impressed with what he did.
So he
and
kind
I
of won
heard
you
a lot
over
about-
a bit more, right?
Yeah. He definitely went hard. It was a really, really good match. I definitely recommend watching it. Just it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe to get a little bit more technical work from Jonathan Gresham, a little bit more flying work from Robbie Eagles, and instead they had a very balanced match that was just different than I was expecting. And I was kind of just sitting there, just taking it in. It was very, very good.
Nice.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not slighting either one of these guys. But the match, I was expecting big things, and it was a great match, but it was different things than what I expected.
Cool.
This segment will be called John Barry's Robbie Eagles and Jonathan Gresham.
Robbie Eagles
Actually,
was
even
going to
Robbie-
be lined up as a future interview guest. No more. We've sullied his good name.
No. I mean, that's the point. Is he did better than the standards I was holding him to.
Sure.
And likewise, I have not watched Jonathan Gresham. I've heard a lot about him. Heard his technical acumen is insane.
Yeah.
And I really felt like they played to each other's strengths as opposed to their own.
Oh, no need to
And
defend yourself, man.
maybe I want to go back and watch more of each of their matches where they wrestle their own styles.
Yeah, man.
Like
Both
CCK,
very
baby.
good. Oh yeah. I was so happy that Gresham was brought into that CCK mix when we lost Travis Banks. I think Gresham brings a amazing whole dynamic to the Calamari Catch Kings. It's
Yes, sir.
maybe my favorite. What's the thing called where you have a letter that's
Would be a
put
stable?
together, like 3
Oh,
letters that are short? Anagram. There we go. Woo. Yeah. So good. But yeah, Gresham is amazing. That match that he had with Zack Sabre Jr. at Final Battle was just like one of my. I loved everything about that match. But yeah, I'm very excited for what he has going forward, and I hope we see more of him in PWG. That's very cool. One
I thought
thing...
Robbie was pretty awesome at DEFY, by the way.
Oh yeah, what did Robbie do in DEFY?
He wrestled one of our local favorites, Cody, classic Cody Chun. Cody actually, he's really, really good. But he kind of is like a little bit of a comedy gimmick. He's really aloof and kind of almost clumsy. So it was an interesting dynamic because Robbie is so technical and like crisp. So it was like, kind of interesting. But one thing actually, I forgot to mention this. Robbie does a drop kick to the knee, but he does it springboard, where he jumps springboard and then goes all the way down and drop kicks the knee, which seems
All of
like a
that
lot of work
momentum.
to drop kick a knee.
It's all the momentum that you gather, my friend, from the springboard, and you go all that way down, and the momentum of
It's
that.
amazing. It's the simple things done with style is what really makes wrestlers unique. So, but yeah, I just love that bit. All right,
That's
so
awesome.
now I need to hear about fucking Mexico.
Well, I wanted to mention on the PWG show that I did have a little bit of an issue here, that we got this January show when originally there was some scuttlebutt about there being a December show, because a lot of the big name PWG guys that have just blown up over the last year were no longer available in January. So if there was going to be a swan song for them, it had to be December. Shit didn't work out, and now we miss out on the goodbye to Jonah, I'm assuming, to Walter, I'm assuming, potentially to Brooksy as well. Like, that hurt me. You know, I was quite sad that is these goodbyes still maybe going to happen? Could we be a bit surprised? I don't know. Sorry, John?
Walter deserves a goodbye from PWG.
Yes.
And I don't think he's going to get it.
Yeah, agreed. Walter's such a huge part of the last 12 months of PWG.
Oh, yeah. Last 18 months, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of good work. He did a lot for the company. It did a lot for him, for the U.S. exposure.
He was amazing to me because he was so opposite of that flippy kind of style that a lot of people think PWG is. And the best part about PWG to me is the whole, amalgamation of different styles. And Walter provided something that was so different to anyone else in PWG that I loved everything he did there. He was a definite highlight of Bowler. And yeah, pretty much every PWG show that I've watched in the last year plus, the best part has been Walter. So I'm quite sad if this is it and we never get a proper goodbye. Thoughts, Jeremy?
I honestly, when you see Walter, before you actually see him work, you're like, whoa, this guy looks fairly bland and maybe even uninteresting. And once you see the guy work, you're like, oh my God, I was wrong. This guy is one of the most brutal, aggressive motherfuckers that you ever seen. And you're right, Chris. He's like such the opposite of everything that PWG stands for. It was a perfect landscape to paint awesomeness with other like flippy guys or other big guys, like guys Jeff who could actually throw him around. It was a really unique dynamic. You could always get really interesting matchups with Walter in the ring, and
one of my favorite matches was Walter and Matt Riddle. I love everything about that match. I think that was actually the first one in the Globe Theatre. Fuck, man, it sucks that he's gone. But do you guys have like any favorite Walter PWG matches? If this is his swan song.
Can't hear you, buddy.
Can't hear you, John. Speak up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Sorry about that. Walter versus Zack Sabre Jr. at All-Star Weekend Night 2 was probably the best true match I've ever seen live.
I forgot about
and it was in Recife, and I was in the second row on with my back to the camera, where I was getting all the action facing me. Like whenever I want to show people wrestling that just don't get what I might watch, I show them a very flippy match, and I show them that match, and it really, I mean, that's the best moment I have in wrestling, I think. And Walter's a big part of that, and Zach, because I was wearing a Zack Sabre Jr. shirt, like I was rooting for him, and Zach was getting the shit beat out of him, and I felt emotion like when he lost, and when he was getting the chops so loud that a girl screamed out loud, and he was stomping him in the face. Like I was like, oh my God, Zach, like, dear God, stop, Walter, stop. I don't always feel that way anymore. And that really brought it out of me. And it was also, as we know, a 5-star match by this point. Best match I've ever seen live.
Nice. Yeah, I think I was a little bit out to lunch with the Matt Riddle match. I don't know if I just pulled that out of my butt or something, but I don't think that actually happened in PWG. I think that happened elsewhere. I don't know what the fuck I'm smoking today. Jeez. Didn't want people
over here.
Yeah, didn't want people to listen to this and be like, Chris is full of shit. You know, I'm issuing a redaction right there. But yeah, honestly, that match that Jon said was fucking incredible. It was just everything that I want out of PWG. So yeah, I think I'm updating my my match to Steel.
You're updated from a match that exists from a match that does not exist.
Yeah,
Okay,
the match
that
I
makes
was
sense.
thinking about on that Globe show was actually Matt Riddle and Zach. Funnily enough.
Neon Knights.
Yep, Neon Knights. Also
Yep.
an excellent match, but did not involve Walter.
Well, mine
Was a match that
I
existed.
got to see a good. I got to see a good handful of Walter matches, and believe it or not, some of those were in person. Luckily enough, going to multi-night shows does afford you that opportunity.
Lucky motherfucker.
My personal favorites would be from the most recent Bola. One match with him and stablemate Timothy Thatcher.
Oh, Ring Kampf.
Fuck. Oh my god. One of the most brutal, real fights. It was like a fucking fight. Like there was nothing fancy. It was just two guys beating the shit out of each other. Two close friends, so they could take it there because they know each other's limits. And like Thatcher, the looks on his face when he's like firing up and like getting intense, dude, or few rival Timothy Thatcher's facials, but that match was so brutal, dude. It was so fucking good.
Dude,
and
that match was amazing. Like such just
straightforward
amazing, realistic grappling as well.
Yeah.
So good. And then yeah, just the clubbering.
The clubbering.
Awesome stuff. All right, so if we're done with the PWG, we heading south to Tijuana.
Oh, you boys like Mexico?
That's what I was thinking about too. Yes, let's go down Mexico way.
Did you catch a train, Jon? Did you fly? How'd you get there?
So I flew into LA. I went to the show at PWG. I stayed the night in Airbnb, and the next day I rented a rental car and drove down to San Diego Airport, dropped it off, took an Uber to the border.
That's a nice drive. I've done that myself from LA to San Diego.
And hit a little bit of traffic. That was kind of pain in the ass. Probably slowed us down about 45 minutes or so, but it was a really, really good time.
I was terrified on some of those highways we had like a little rental car, and like when you get kind of sandwiched between some of those fucking trucks. Oh, I don't think I've been more fearful for my life. It was scary. But alas.
Yeah, no, it kind of rough. But yeah, the bulk of my great information is going to come with this Mexico shit.
All right.
I had an awesome time at the Crash. I mean, it was awesome. So when I was in LA, I met up with a friend from Denver named Sarah. Went to the PWG show with me, and then we traveled down to San Diego and did the Mexico thing. She's kind of just down for the ride, and she never watched any wrestling in her life. And I have seen better cards that the Crash put on. She had only seen one show by the time the Crash went on, which was PWG. And I think we both like enjoyed the Crash better.
Wow.
One of my friends from Mexico who did not make the show had heard, rumor on the street was that the Crash wasn't that good. There were some cancellations, things like that. Look, guys, I had an awesome time. And a lot of it was due to like some personal, anecdotal type stories. The first thing I want to mention is my seating. I had mentioned before on our podcast the what are now known as the aunties of Tijuana, the old ladies. I don't want to say old. The older ladies, between the ages of, let's say, like 40. I think there's a wide range of 45 to 75. I would guess, of these people that have sat and watched shows for at least a decade at this auditorium. Everything from AAA to the Crash to these Impact crossover shows, these local shows. Really any show that's going on, they're down, and they're always there, and they're always in the same seats. They don't even they always have them reserved for them. And during my time at some of these shows, I've seen wrestlers come up to them and take pictures with them. I saw a guy from Rosarito bring these ladies a rose. They come up, they sign their stuff, just whatever. They are true legends.
I'm not sure if I asked you this last time, but do they in fact hit the heels with their umbrellas?
They do not hit the heels with their umbrellas,
Damn it!
but there are some equally comparable stories. So whenever I get a chance, I try to get tickets next to them, and we recognize each other by this point, if I'm allowed to say so. And so I get
You're
down
not?
there and I take.
You're
Yeah,
not allowed to say
yeah,
that.
I appreciate that. They're going to be listening to this, by the way. So
Oh no.
yeah,
Wow.
we have yes. So
And
so
we've
be
offended
very
the old
respectful.
Mexican ladies. Damn it! Not old ladies, aunties, aunties.
The aunties, the tias, or leyendas as I'm calling them, the legends. But so I get down there and we get to our seats, and we did the meet and greet thing before, and nothing really out of the ordinary there. Saw my buddy Bandito, got some hugs, of course, and then we get to the show, and we get to our seats, and they immediately recognize me, and I them. And we're talking, we're hanging out. We end up taking some pictures together, both of us on our phones. We're all taking pictures with each other. We also sat in between us was a nice guy named Jose, and his son, who I didn't catch his name, but he had a Pentagon mask. I'll bring that up later. But a couple quick anecdotes.
Leo de Jose.
Yeah. That's what I called him. I called him Leo del Jose. So first off, in one of the prior experiences, I had rooted for the American Indy Stars, which were against La Rebellion. And these ladies were like, "You shut up, you sit down." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." And I went to sit down, and they're like, "No, I'm just kidding. Like, get up. Like, you go right through." So I was like, "Okay."
It's
so
meant
we're
to be a
cool.
back and forth. It's not a back and forth if you just get offended and
Yeah.
sit down. Fuck.
Yeah, well, I was terrified because they were very clearly. And so during the match, a few things happened. One, Ray Horace got thrown into our course. So we're sitting on the corner, and around the other side of the corner are these ladies. And Ray Horace gets thrown into the corner, and I say something to him like, "Ray, get up," And I guess because I'm speaking in English, he turns around and like looks at me, and he goes, "Oh, it's you." I'm like, "Yeah, it's." He's like, "What's up?" And he's trying to act hurt, but he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Man, get up there and kick his ass." So he goes, "John, get out of the way. I need your seat." So I scoot over a seat away from Sarah, create a seat between me and her, and Sarita, as the aunties are calling her. And so Ray goes to the other end of the aisle and does the whole running and throw the guy over the rail. And then he power bombed him through my chair. Well, during this time, Sarah turned to Jose to our left and said, "Hey, do I need to move?" And he's like, "No, you're fine. No problem." So, they throw through the chair, and of course, the Mexican chant where they go, "Oh, puto," and just call
Classic.
whoever they're yelling at, just a total bitch, right? So I get up and I move. Sarah stays put, and the aunties start heckling me, and they are just saying, "Hey, the girl you with didn't get up. Why'd you move? You're a puto." And they start doing like little "oh, puto" chants. And they're like, "Sarah, you're putito, but to us, you're puto." And having a good time, and I got slightly embarrassed because I'd never been called a bitch by a 75-year-old lady.
You haven't lived.
And, yeah, I haven't lived. But that was a really good experience, and I mean, we were just having a great time. I mean, they call me a bitch, and then they high five me, right? And then different wrestlers were interacting. Phoenix almost got his mask ripped off. Jose went and bought the mask. I got a good picture of that mask where it's all ripped open. Bandito sold his mask to the guy to my right, and the guy to my right knew that I was clearly a Bandito mark because he'd come over and high five me and hug me and whatever, and I talked him up, and he let me put on his mask and take a picture with him. So that was really cool as well. And then different things happened. Phoenix. Oh yeah. So Jose's kid, Hijo de Jose, was wearing a Pentagon mask, and during the after the Pentagon Phoenix match, Pentagon got up and brought a kid in the ring that was wearing a Pentagon mask, and this kid looked so sad, like the kid next to me. Not
Oh.
gonna lie.
I'm not laughing because the kid was sad. Just like it's funny, like John looks so, and the kid was so sad.
He
I'm
was
just
so
envisioning
sad.
this. Aw.
Yeah.
Single tear is running down his cheek.
I picked this kid. Yeah, so we had the Pentagon mask on. And so I picked this kid up and just put him over the rail and just say, get in the ring. And he looks at me like, what? And I'm like, I don't care. Get in the ring. And so he runs in the ring. And Pentagon embraces him too. And he's like, yeah, here's another. And then all of a sudden, like 20 other kids with the Pentagon and Phoenix mask just climb in the ring. And I'd like to think I started that. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I'd like to think I did. Yeah, right. And so like 20 kids with Pentagon and Phoenix mask get in the ring, and they're all doing their thing and taking pictures with all of them and putting them all on their shoulders and all that shit.
Pentagon broke all their arms.
Pentagon broke all the kids' arms. And no, it was a really good time. There was also Sam Adonis, who I'd never actually watched live. Sam Adonis came out
Corey
with
Grace's brother.
He got in
Is that
some
really?
trouble in the UK
Yeah.
for saying not very politically correct things. He got pretty much banned from the country.
correct. You're gonna love this.
Ooh.
He came out with full tights that had Donald Trump's face airbrushed on them.
Oh yeah,
And
that's his
waving it-
gimmick in Mexico.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's his gimmick in Mexico. I had never seen it.
yeah, he's done it
And,
in
you know, he-
Arena Mexico and CMLL for a bit.
I had no idea. Well, he's coming up to the Americans looking for support, like, oh, come on, he's your president. And all the Americans are like, fuck you. And so, for example, like I was like, fuck you, Sam, fuck Donald Trump. And all the Mexicans around me are like, yeah. And it's like, and
Good thing you did that way. You might have got stabbed. You went the other way. Yeah, I fucking love the wall. Bring the wall. And I'm not talking about WCW's The Wall. I'm talking about that border wall. Keep those Mexicans out. I'm Jon Craft.
There were a lot of border walls.
Viva Donald Trump!
Yeah. No, do not. But I mean, just experiences like that were like really, really, man, just a lot of fun. Like lots of. It was clusterfuck, dude. It was fun as shit, dude. It was. I have seen way better cards than the Crash, where actually people showed up, like the time Alberto Del Rio showed up to his booking. So,
Shock.
Rio.
That's ironic.
Yeah, on the first show I ever appeared on y'all's show with, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I never had more fun. And not
That's
only
awesome.
that, but in our previous podcast, I mentioned how I went to a soccer game and bribed security to bring a tequila bottle in when I was already drunk.
Mhm.
And how the whole section started singing soccer songs, chanting my name. And then by the end of it, these guys who were a couple years younger than me were all like jumping around me huddle style, going, John, 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 John.
And you're
which just-
all sharing tequila and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. That story. So at the end of the night, we're like taking pictures with the aunties and like saying our goodbyes and different things like that. And these guys come over to me and they're like, John, do you remember me? And I was thinking in wrestling context, not soccer. And I was like, no, I mean, like, I remember your face, but I can't place it. And they're like, maybe this will remind you. And they all start jumping around me going, John, 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 John. Guys from the soccer match. They were like, hey, it's John from Denver. And John Denver, Chris, if you don't know, is an American musician who's now dead.
I have heard of Mr. John
Holy
Denver.
shit, I never even thought about that. That is your fucking nickname now.
Yep, I'm updating it in my phone right now.
And it makes me laugh, even though they have no idea what they're saying. But it really makes me laugh. So I was John Denver, and everybody circled me and yelled John and chanted and chewed. Man, I mean, if that doesn't make you feel great, I don't know what does.
It'd
Right?
be
Like that,
fucking great if the other group started doing their bitch chant and they did dueling bitch John chants. John,
Yeah.
bitch,
John, puto, John, puto.
John Puto. No,
Ah.
it was awesome. It
That
was
sounds
it was
great.
awesome.
So much
That's fucking
fun.
Killer.
Oh man, those little like crowd stories, like they're the things you remember, like more so than like awesome matches. It's like they're the things that emotionally connect us to the real fun that we have at these shows. I think that's so cool to hear.
And I always try to put over Tijuana. I was telling my friend that it's really interesting. I've been down there for a few shows by this point, and I've stayed at some of the same hotels and gone to some of the same bars and restaurants, and it's and gone to the same wrestling shows, right? And it's actually really a good feeling. Not like a pompous feeling, like a community feeling that I've put in the work. I've gotten to know some of these people, and I go back down there, and it's been 6 months, and I don't have any of these people's phone numbers, and like I feel like I have friends, people
Yeah.
that remember, and people to go out with, and people to talk to. Even this guy George in line for the meet and greet, like we were starting to talk, and he was like, "Yo, we've talked before, man. Like, do you remember meeting my son?" And just experiences like that. Like, it's a great place to watch wrestling. It's, for example, Sarah, who's fully available to give her opinion, she liked the Crash way more than PWG because, yeah, I mean, you just get drunk and have a great time, and you chant bitch at people, and it was a really, really good time. It was the
I don't
best
think we
time.
need a better summation than that.
Yeah.
Just have a good time and chant bitch at people.
So good.
Fucking A. Oh man.
In terms of, obviously the crowd and that crowd participation and the aunties and everything was like a very cool part of it. The actual in ring show side of it, like there were some matches on this card that were always like, whoa, that would be a fucking rad match. I'd really want to see that. My assumption for my personal match of the show, if I was oh man, I just did Urban Dictionary for puto. maybe a little bit worse than bitch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Somewhere between bitch and whore.
And like kind of a bit gay slur type of thing too.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh man, we've said puto so many times in this podcast. Shit, we're in trouble.
So you just said
Don't
shit.
forget all this out.
Hey, if it's cool for the aunties, it's okay by us, I guess.
Amazing.
This was the last ever episode of Grown Men Watch This Shit. Taken down by a Anyway, hope that actually doesn't happen. Fuck. Getting back to the card. Oh fuck! Speaking of slurs, you guys had an opener involving a wrestler named Taliban.
Yeah. I was gonna let Sarah shed some light on that, but if you want to talk about Taliban, we can talk about.
Let's save it. Let's save it. My match of the show was, I would have called Lucha Brothers against Los Traumas, because Negra Navarro's kids, Trauma 1 and Trauma 2, two really fucking talented dudes, two guys that are like rad technical kind of guys, but also like real just sweet, rough, rudo kind of guys too. How was that match?
It was awesome, man. They were all over the arena. They went up the stairs. The aunties were massive Trauma fans. They had their masks, which are not glamorous masks. And
They're scary looking masks.
Yeah, it was a 75-year-old lady with like some like hybrid alien pig mask on, And I'm rooting for Pentagon of Phoenix, which, by the way, props to Phoenix. Like, he came over and signed Eho's poster and saw I had a Phoenix shirt on. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna sign your shirt too." And I said, "Hell yeah." But yeah, these ladies loved Trauma, and I had never actually watched them. But the match was awesome, and it was brutal. Yeah. Unprotected headshots with chairs, like multiple beers being taken out of the crowd, being thrown at these guys, getting all over the crowd. I mean, it was a vicious match.
Nice. I hope this gets is one of those Crash ones that gets posted to the YouTube. I really want to check this out.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Awesome. All right, sweet. Well, we will keep this moving on, and we'll quickly get on. Did you say Sarah is available to join us for her collective thoughts?
Yeah, so Sarah has done a number of live events in her life and has never watched any wrestling and watched the first 6 event shows ever. And she had some really fresh takes on it, maybe some hot takes on PWG, and she was open to sharing them.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Well, I'll add her into the call here, and we'll get that going. Just a sec.
Sure.
Did you message me her Skype thing or
Yeah, I did on Facebook.
on the
Or-
group one? Yep, got it here. All right. Let's see if she is okay to be added into this call or whether I need to call her separately.
Hello.
Hello. Is that Sarah?
Hello. It is. This is Sarah Shaffer. How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to the Grown Men Watch This Shit. I am Chris. We also have Jeremey, my co-host.
That is I.
And
Hi, guys.
Jon, who I believe you may know as well.
Yeah, he dragged me to this stuff. Not really. I was more than happy to go and figure out what this is all about.
Awesome. Well, we always welcome different perspectives of these shows. So yeah, I can't wait to hear what you thought of this crazy introduction to the world of indie and Mexican wrestling.
Well, yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, when John told me he liked wrestling, I pretty much thought to myself, grown men actually watch this shit.
Hey!
I didn't really know this was a thing.
That's the name of the show. That's the name.
Yeah,
Everyone do a shot.
So I enjoyed it. PWG was very different from the Crash, as John was saying. I like them both for different reasons. PWG is definitely more of an adult event, a little bit more punk rock. And the Crash is just a lot of fun. Just a lot of kids. You got Unicorno and I don't know, Taliban and all sorts of crazy things. I don't even know what's happening for the most part, but it was a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah, so cool. Jon told us specifically Taliban was maybe a bit of a surprise. I don't know. What were your thoughts on Taliban?
It made me laugh. You know, you're in Mexico, and you got I don't remember the guy's name. He's got the Donald Trump flag, the American with that
Sam Adonis.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we've got the Taliban, and it's a little outrageous, but that's why it's great. You know, these are just great characters. I remember I looked up and I looked at John and I said, "Really, the Taliban? Like, I love it. I love it."
Yeah, I mean that's pretty Mexican wrestling. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you'll find on these shows where it's like, wow, that would not fly anywhere else, but it's totally cool in Mexico. I remember at one point there may have been a team called Los Nazis. Yeah.
And it's totally okay.
Yeah.
It's family friendly apparently, so I support that. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And you made friends with the aunties by the sounds of things.
Oh, they thought I was pretty badass. They made me feel pretty badass. You know.
Hey, you didn't run away like someone else did.
I didn't.
Hey.
I was sitting there, I had my beer, and I looked at the guy next to me. I was like, "Do I actually have to move?" And he's like, "Nope, just stay here." He was very serious about that. So I stayed there. I'm like, "Okay, I trust you," and that gave me some street cred, I think.
Nice.
The front row crew we had there.
That's awesome.
So It was good. Made me feel good about myself.
So good. Now, had you been to Mexico or Tijuana much before?
No, that was my first time in Tijuana,
Wow.
and it wasn't nearly as terrifying and dangerous as people like to put out there. Now, obviously, we're not looking for trouble, so that helps. But no, it was a great time. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's everything I hear. Everyone that goes there is like, it's an awesome place. Gets such a bad rap, very unfairly so. If you're not looking to get into any troublesome activities, so that was cool. What else, like other than kind of the wrestling, stood out to you that was like kind of different or just a memorable type of thing?
Let's see. In terms of the Mexico or the
Yeah. Yeah, being your first time
in
there,
terms of
you know.
Mexico, yeah, there's just it's not America, that's for sure. I don't know. There's just a lot to do. There's a lot. The food, the culture, the clubs, really really fun. Um, I don't really know where to go from there. A lot of tacos.
Awesome.
Made sure to eat a lot of street tacos. That's for sure.
That's great. Were they as good as you were thinking?
Yes.
I think that's good advice wherever you go.
Just get lots of street tacos? Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, come on.
I don't think I've ever had a bad experience eating a street taco. I'm sure other people maybe could say different. That's great. And what did you think of this wild match that Jon was telling us about with Los Traumas and the Lucha Brothers? Apparently a bit of brawling and craziness.
Yeah, it was. To be honest, I don't remember. I do remember it, but I can't tell you exactly who is who.
That's fair. First show experience.
It was actually Jon. Help me with this. Who was the guy? What match was it? There was the referee just randomly started getting involved, and I had no idea why.
Oh, God. Well, I think that was, I don't remember because the main roster had like a mix up with the matches. It wasn't the 6-man tag. Yeah, the referee kept interfering. He was friends with some of the guys or something. He kept interfering.
A Rudo referee or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have seen both.
completely-
You know, you get the bad guy referee interfering spots, but then you also get like on some of the other shows, like the babyface referee, where he'll get involved and just decide to dive off the top when everyone's doing dives and that kind of stuff.
No, the referee was throwing chairs.
Ah,
Yeah, I
wow.
had no idea what was going on. But that was kind of the beauty of it. I had no
That's what
clue.
started the Puto.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. We know that's a bad word now. So a favorite match of the show? Any? What was
Or
kind
the
of the
two
most?
shows?
Yeah, I mean, favorite match of the whole weekend, I guess. What do you think?
I'd say more the whole weekend. PWG is more memorable for me in terms of just the show, the matches, and the wrestlers. Just because we were able to actually have the time to meet the wrestlers and Jon, the way he talks about them, I really thought you guys were all best friends. I didn't know that they were more of acquaintances. So the way I related to them was like, hey, oh my gosh, Jon's best friend. Jon's best friend, Bandito.
Oh, Bandito is definitely Jon's best friend. Let's not spoil that.
Close personal friend Bandito.
Yeah.
But speaking of best friends, I have to say that one of my favorite parts was the best friends. I absolutely loved them. I loved
Chucky T and Trent.
Love
awesome.
them. I just thought that was it was I don't know if heartwarming is really the word you use for wrestling, but it really was.
So.
It was nice. It was refreshing.
They are wholesome as hell.
Yeah.
They were wonderful.
Just wholesome male bonding. It's a beautiful thing.
Dude, Chuck
was
Taylor
wonderful.
is a special experience. He's awesome.
He's the
I
Kentucky
loved it.
gentleman.
And yeah, right. The Kentucky gentleman. That's right. I ended up getting a shirt from them.
Oh,
a best
sweet.
Shirt.
Two shirts.
And I got 2 shirts. The other shirt was for my best friend who was watching my dog while we were on this trip. So
Oh,
I was
sweet.
able to get that.
Oh,
Mhm.
what did
And
what
I
did the
actually,
best
when
friend get as their shirt? Was it the best friend's
Best friend.
shirt?
The best friend shirt. Yeah.
Ah, look
That's
at
the most
that.
appropriate thing.
Perfect.
Matching best
And
friend.
matching best friend shirt.
Beautiful.
And the biggest takeaway for me that really kind of put things in perspective was I was talking to the best friends. I was talking to Trent, and I probably doesn't even remember this, but as an aside, oh, it's your first wrestling show. Everyone was so nice, and he said to me, "Wrestling is weird," and that really really helped me out, and I just loved it because it was like, wow, these grown-ups, these grown men watching this crazy wrestling match, like, oh, you don't like wrestling is weird, like we know
yeah,
it's
it
not
is.
real. It's weird, and that's really what made me enjoy it, because like,
Yeah.
to be able to admit, like, yeah, this is really weird and really
I think
fun.
that really says it
And
all about our fascination with it, like why we talk about this. It's just weird.
Yeah, when it calls
We're
out
just
to it,
saying it
it's literally the most insane thing you could do. It's a bunch of men watching other men fake fight in their underpants, like, and they're all like incredibly insane characters. Like, everyone's something really weird. People have like jobs. Like, I'm a repo man. I wrestle. It's like the most insane hillbilly kabuki theater, and it's fucking fantastic.
And everyone's so
it's
fucking zazzed
bizarre.
about it.
And everyone's so nice. PWG was, everybody made sure to remind me it was the best, creme de la creme of wrestling, and to appreciate it, and I did. And so it's just, but it is weird, and I loved it. I love it for that.
That's great.
Um,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, finishing up, do you have any recommendations from your trip to LA, from your trip to Mexico? Any recommendations for our listeners? Does it be restaurants, bars, or just the wrestling? I don't know. What do you got for us?
Who's your
Oh,
favorite
man.
wrestler now?
Plugs. Plug something.
Who's my favorite wrestler? Ooh. Huh? Oh, God, I don't know. Well, Puma Creek, I have to say, Puma Creek King was everyone, and that was the one I thought that was going to be my favorite. And I have to say, that was not my favorite. I was expecting him to be more Puma-like. I was seeing more, I
Kitty?
don't want to, Garfield.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I don't know if he's always like that. He was very hyped up. I was not expecting that. Jungle Boy was just fantastic, especially because it was one of his. I think this was like one of his breakout show. And then of course the best friends. Jeff Cobb was awesome. Loved him. Talked to him about your T-shirt. I was
sweet.
wearing. Yeah, I was wearing your, what is it? Young Bucks
Bucks.
shirt to the show.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So there's a plug. And yeah, best friend. I just love the best friends. I really did. That's probably the highlight.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, talked to Jeff Cobb both nights, and we got plenty of FaceTime with him, and he, he and I had an interaction at Bola, and we, really had a great time talking at the PWG show. But then at the Crash, I remember he made all of the shirts, and so we talked for another 10 minutes and said, "Man, that's a really nice guy."
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Mr.
Yeah.
James
No,
Vanderbeek, designer of the stars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, Jeff Cobb's a fantastic guy, and you've made some awesome shirts for him. I'm sure
Thanks,
everybody
man.
can go to ProWrestlingTees.com.
Yeah,
or
new one just
something.
dropped. Looks like the Everlasting Stoppers from Willy Wonka. Check it out.
I saw that. Looks good. Congratulations.
Love me some gobstoppers.
All right, guys. Well, before we close, you guys have the opportunity, if you have a Twitter accounts you want to plug, or you have the opportunity to just plug cool things in general. We
Cool
like to do
shit.
that now.
Well, you all know where to find me at JCraft901.
What? There's a lot of
You
echo
cut
there.
out totally. Also, like you get blah, 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 blah. One more time, John.
Yeah, that's it. No, I'm just plugging myself.
No, but you totally got garbled. Give that plug one more try.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at JCraft with a C901, JCraft901. Find me
Clear.
tags on the podcast I'm on.
Boom.
Boom.
All right. Well, I would like to give the shout outs to my Instagram, being at Chris Things, also the Twitter of Chris Things, and everyone give lots of love to the Twitter of the show at Grown Men Pod. Is that it?
Yeah,
I think that's
I believe that is.
Forget our own thing.
I
what do you got for
am
us?
at Jaims Vanderbeek, Jaims Vanderbeek on both Twitter and Instagram. I don't have Snapchat or nothing. That's for the kids.
Mm. All right. Well, thank you everyone again for joining us. Thanks, John. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks to all of our beautiful
Chris.
listeners at home. Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's not a full feature.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Gracias.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Thank
Oh,
you.
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right, get
We are
shifty,
grown-
everybody.
Yes.
see ya.
Quit talking. You're wrecking all over the place.
Yeah, this is our outro. Fuck.
Get swifty, bitches.
Bird is a winner, winner, bird, 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 a winner, winner, bird.